Bookcase and Coffee presents Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance.
Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. I am Becky, and joining me for this quick shot of romance is podcast contributor Carolina. Hi, Carolina.
Hey, Becky.
We had you on an episode, but we haven't done a quick shot in like almost a month.
Oh my gosh, has it been that long?
It has, like the end of April, and this is like gonna end mid-May. So
May.
I know time's getting away from us, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So for this quick shot of romance, Carolina and I are reviewing Rough Country by Lauren Landish. This is book 3 in the Tannen Boys series, which is a spin-off of the Bennett Boys.
Yes.
So it's, it kind of, this was interesting to me that she numbered this a different series.
They really could have been all the same series. This could have been book 6 of a series.
Yeah, I'm curious why she didn't do it like Small Town. I don't know that did she ever name the town in the books?
I don't remember.
I wanted to say it was something Springs, but I don't think it is. And then, honest to goodness, I thought it took place in Texas. And then I was reading this one, and in the opening scene, the main character, the main heroine, she talks about the mountains. And I'm like, there are no giant mountains in Texas, Becky.
No.
What is wrong with you? So I did find out that it's supposed to be like Wyoming or Montana.
Yeah. I feel like she has a name for the town, and I'm just not thinking of it because Bobby, the hero in this book, refers back to the town.
Oh, that's true. He does.
He does. I don't remember what it is.
But I'm just surprised that she didn't, call it one series and give it 6 books. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are so many characters from the previous 5 books within this story.
All of the Bennetts and the Tannens are in the Tannen series.
Well, and we see Doc Jones, who was the vet that was Caitlin's predecessor in book 1 that brought her out there.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. Or not Caitlin. Not Caitlin. Sophie.
Yes.
Caitlin's with Mark, the oldest brother. She works at the resort.
Yes.
Yeah. See,
the wedding planner.
I can keep some things
you
straight in my head.
Something straight.
Okay, read us the synopsis from Goodreads.
It really is a dream come true if it means losing the one thing you've ever known you needed. Willow Parker is excited to move to Podunk, Nowheres-ville. That's what she's telling herself. But it's not working until she meets a dark-eyed, honey-voiced cowboy. That's when her new small-town life starts looking a lot less temporary. Bobby is a big-hearted storyteller wrapped in a sexy, gruff, hardworking family man package that makes Willow's pillow-soft heart race and body hum. She shouldn't have known love's never-ending ease, though. Bobby Tannen knows exactly who he is, a farmer, a brother, and last but not least, a singer-songwriter. He's made his peace, and with his biggest audience being the folks at a local honky-tonk, and knows his future lies in the dirt of the land he's worked his whole life. With beautiful Willow at his side, he's one step closer to a happily ever after that he's only written songs about. Until a hotshot music executive comes to town and offers Bobby everything he's ever wanted. But it may come at too high of a price, his new relationship with Willow. Who truly holds Bobby's heart? The bright lights of Nashville or his sweet Willow?
So release date on this is August 17th of 2020. Small town, instant connection, cowboys.
Family series.
Family series, yeah. Family series, but it's almost more found family than family series because the Bennetts, like we said in the beginning, the Bennetts and the Tannens kind of cross family lines.
I think it has both because you also get the Tannens, and there's some resolution there on that start with book 1 of the Tannens
Right.
When
With
it
their
comes
dad.
to the Tannen ranch
Tannen farm, because they're the
farm.
farm.
Yes.
And
Okay.
the Bennetts are the ranch.
Have the ranch. Yeah. So so you get both. You get family and fan family.
This is a series of interconnected standalones. It is also a spin-off series, like we said, of the Bennetts. Put out percentage of this was 47%. There are some heavy makeout scenes a little earlier in the book, but things don't get moving until 47%. And then future scenes, and this is something that kind of, it bugged me a little bit, but I honestly think it had been a minute since I'd read Lauren Landish, so I think this is kind of true to who Lauren Landish is as a writer. The later scenes faded to black. There was one descriptive scene, but then the others were alluded to, but were not necessarily descriptive. So I don't know if that, it's been a minute, like I said, since I read Lauren Landish, so I don't know if that is how she typically does. But this is not one of those that once they start having it, it's like all on all the pages. So this is definitely a little bit more of a tamer romance.
And yeah, there is also one heavier one towards the end of the book as well. So it's not like it's all fade to black, but there's just, yeah, there actually, now that you mentioned that, there's a lot more of that in the latter half of this book.
Yeah. So, okay, let's start off with Bobby, because he was a little bit of a quandary. Now, we have both read book 1 and book 2 in the Tannen family, and I do have an order of which I like the brothers. I had hoped for Bobby, and I liked how, I always thought he was a dreamer, and like he still was keeping his dreams of being a singer. You know, he really calls Brutal to task in Brutal's book. He really pushes Brody in Brody's book. And then nobody pushes him. They just, they all just kind of accept that he's going to work the farm and is happy singing.
Yeah, that's true. Mama Louise does smack in true fashion of these two series, that she's the one that kind of gives that wisdom. But yeah, you're right. Nobody does that for him.
No.
He's also a much more introspective character. Like, you think about Brutal, and you think about like Mark, and even who's the first brother? Brody. Sorry, there's so like trying to keep them all straight. They, like, Brody and Mark are just like grunty kind of guys, but Bobby's not. He's got a different kind of depth to him that you learn about. So it's like it's a very different, like, quiet observance. And then when you get his songs are just so thoughtful. And I did like that about the story, that as something inspired him, which you would imagine a songwriter or an artist like come up with lyrics like off the top of their head. Lauren Landish like kind of writes that in. So he sees something that inspires him, and then like the next couple lines are italicized, so you know that's like lyrics he's playing with in his head.
And I like how I like how she did that, because it was more of a show than tell. It was more of like, let me show you his heart. Let me show you his dreams. And I don't have to tell you. And he thought these words. It was just like you
were inside his head.
Yeah. And I did enjoy that part of the storytelling a lot. I felt like that is how we got to know Bobby the most. He definitely was a man of action, but not in a forceful way. It was in a much more subtle, quiet way. Like, he sees Willow across the room the first night he performs, and he is like beelining, like on his way to her. And he introduces himself and he cuts everybody else off. When he sees something, he goes for it. But then when he realizes that she doesn't necessarily know if she wants to date, and she's heard rumors about him and everything like that, He just keeps showing up to eat a meal with her at the bar.
Yeah, I loved that about him. Like, I loved that about his character, that, okay, he knows that she's not going to be won over easily. And because every other woman just fawns and falls over him, which, you know, you kind of want, like, you want this hero to have somebody who makes him work for it. But it's not that she's trying to make him work for it to prove a point. She's just not, that's not where she's at. And so to have him come back, like, he goes there 5 nights before she agrees to
the tour,
a faux date, a fake date.
Yeah.
Which is,
I liked that, though. I liked, because he falls first. He definitely has interest first, and she's hesitant. And that's kind of a role reversal. We don't always get that. And
she definitely feels chemistry, but she is not there she's not there to fall in love, you know. No. Like the synopsis said, you know, she's there thinking she's temporary. So she really doesn't want to make those ties and make those connections.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Willow and why she's there temporarily. Because some of this is where the story kind of got a little wonky for me. It bothered me a little bit. So Willow is in town. At the beginning of the book, we're under the understanding that she's coming to town to reconnect to her great uncle that she hasn't seen in 15 years, 12 or 15 years. And her uncle is Hank, who owns the local honky-tonk bar, Hank's, which has been featured in previous stories. And so she is in town to reconnect with him because he left after a family disagreement with her grandfather when she was 12. And
it was bad. It was a bad family breakup.
Yeah.
So, and he was always the fun uncle. So she loved him, hanging out with him. They had a connection, and that family fallout was, I don't want to say traumatic, but it was.
It really upset her, though. It really carried on, you know, for her life.
And it really had a huge rift in their family.
Yeah. And so she's in town, and there's something going on with Hank. She calls him Unc through the book. And we know that there's something health issue going on with him. And Willow knows about it. And there's some deception a little bit there on her part. Because she's keeping it very close to her chest. And not just from Bobby, but also from Hank. I don't think Hank, at the beginning, he does not know that she knows about his health issues.
Well, and I think that just speaks to also knowing that he's a proud man.
Yeah.
So, and the way that she knows he has these health issues, it's revealed later that, you know, the person that calls her mother and they decide that she's going to go, tells them Uncle Hank doesn't know that I'm sharing this information with you. So it's really to kind of just ease her way back in. And he's a little resistant to her helping because he's an independent man. He's done everything by himself. You know, he's a proud man. And even when she starts working at the bar, you know, she has to prove herself.
She does. I did love the girly beers.
The
girly beers. I'm like, tempted to try this. And I love that she served it to Brutal, these pink drinks to Brutal and Mark.
She made them frozen so they couldn't chug them.
Yeah, it was so funny. I loved that. I was like, those guys. But they actually liked them. They were okay with them. And so Willow is also a photographer, and I think that was something
blogger.
Yeah, blogger. She sells her photography, but she also does like a travel blog and a photo blog. one of the things that I did feel about Willow is this: she sees the world through her own lens. Like, sometimes I think she was a little clueless to the periphery. Like,
Okay.
I just felt that she was so focused. There's a scene where she, while Unc is supposed to be gone fishing, she goes to his house to do some repair work and to fix some things. And she doesn't necessarily look to make sure that he is gone. Like, and then when he comes out and he's mad, she like gives Bobby a death glare. Like it was somehow his fault. Sister, look around you. Pay attention to the world. And you kind of get that feeling too the first time she goes to the family farm. Like that was a little bit more eye-opening for her. That
Yes.
she saw Bobby for more than just the good time guy that comes in the bar.
Yes.
That she kind of...
Well, she sees him kind of... Also, the way that she gets introduced to the farm is a surprise to Bobby. Cheyenne, who's the young sister, invites her out to see everything that she's working on and says, oh, we're going to surprise Bobby because she loves to meddle. And so it really is she also doesn't know how he's going to react to this, but he does. And then he's proud to show her everything. He like takes her around everywhere, shows her off, like shows her like the farm off and everything that they're working on. They have some great moments. And she can be, everything through her lens. And one of the other big things with her blog is she likes to keep the anonymity. So she is very clear that she never posts her face to keep that. So it's an interesting kind of artist life, like mentality, because I would also imagine that there are a lot of artists like that. They get really focused on seeing the world through that, whatever lens that is. And it was also very interesting to have two artists come together in their own way.
Which we don't always see. And their passion and the way they express their passions were very different too.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby, for now, he's expressing his passion on Thursday nights at the bar, singing in front of the town. And it's loud and it's out there and everyone knows Bobby can sing. And Willow does it quietly, anonymously on her website and in her social media.
And I would also say kind of how Landish gives you those lines, the song lines that Bobby thinks through, like you get that introspection there. On the flip side, she does something similar for Willow. Like as she sees something, she'll describe it and then she'll write click and italicize. So she's taking the photo. So she's actually putting you like as the reader behind the lens of what this character is seeing. So there's that parallel that's really interesting to get that that artist perspective.
Yeah. This book was really well edited and laid out. Like I do feel though that the storyline itself for the first 47% of the book moved in a circle. Like we didn't really make any forward progress. It felt a little Groundhog Day for me. Like they went on the tour and that was the faux date.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he finally takes her on the first date, it just didn't have as much forward progress as I was used to. Now, if you've read Brutal or you read Brody's books, they had a lot of forward progression. This one had a much lower pace.
Yeah.
To it.
There was a part, I would say, not quite at the halfway mark, but I would say like 1/3 in, it was kind of like, okay, where is this? Like, where are we going?
Yeah.
And it does pick up. But can we talk about the sunrise, them watching the sunrise, and so he takes her out to what really is Lookout Point.
Yes.
Like, or a make out point. He calls it Lookout Point to watch the sunrise. and they're there really early. And so he lets her go around taking photos, and he just plays on his guitar. He picks out songs, he plays songs, and then he just kind of riffs and creates songs. And it's just a kind of this interesting mix of these two people like living in that same space and kind of, I don't know, connecting in a very intimate way for two introverts.
Well, I liked that it shows that you can be with somebody and share a moment, but you don't have to be connected to them.
Yeah.
Intimacy can happen in different forms. So for these two, they were immersed in their art, but together under the umbrella of intimacy, because nobody else was there treading in on their space. It isn't, to me, it has the same intimacy as watching a movie together, a scene like that would have in the book. Right. But this was action, and that's not often done, and it's not often done as well as it was done in this book. Yeah. And that's the other thing too that I really do love about Lauren Landish's writing. When she has her moments, you are living those moments. Like the way she is descriptive, it's not overly wordy. It doesn't feel just like words on a page. She really immerses you into the setting. Like I felt that sunrise. I could hear the strumming of the music in that moment.
I could see the picture. Yeah. I could visualize the picture in my head, or I could hear the song in my head. I might, it might only be like words on a page, but I could hear like the tempo and the softness or gravelly, qualities about them.
Yeah. So I do have one little, and I'm being picky tonight, and I'm not trying to be, because I really did enjoy this book. But so I don't typically read blurbs, you know me. If the title speaks to me, I'm in, right? Give me enough tropes in the title that I can pick up on what it is, and I'm in, right? But I read this blurb after I read the book, and it talks about the record executive and Bobby's dream. Now, Cheyenne makes a statement early on in the book about how Bobby has always just been a hanger-on. Like, he gave up his dream of music when things fell out when his mom died and things fell out with his dad. He was proud to work the land, and he worked hard, and he absolutely does. Like, he is there for his family 1,000%. He is make the sacrifices, and he's not making them begrudgingly or groaning about them. He just puts his head down and he works hard. But in the blurb of this book, it talks about the record executive, and I'm not kidding. I kept reading, waiting for the record executive to show up. And then it's after 60%. I think it's closer to like 75.
No, it's not that far.
It's not that far?
No,
but it was after 60%.
It's about 60%. It's at about 60%.
And it was like, I'm like, finally we have something, because I just wanted so much for Bobby. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you do, because the first part of the book really builds him up in this career, and how much the town loves him, and how you understand how talented this man is. I will have to say, I was pissed and worried at when the couple separates a little bit, on how all of that happens. And because and I don't want to give too much away, but I was nervous, because it's one of those situations where, like, I can't say it without giving it away. Well, like, have a freaking conversation. Have a freaking conversation.
So
right?
That's another grump. I hate miscommunication tropes.
I will have to say that, like, it doesn't. I liked the way that she handled this one. Like, in the respect of, he has to kind of suffer with his choice of not having the conversation. But it doesn't, he has a moment and a reality like slap upside the head, and he immediately like, you know.
He does have that moment of clarity and realizes he messed up.
Yeah. And before that, he has, in classic like Landish style with this whole series, he ends up having a great kind of one-on-one with Mama Louise.
Mhm.
I pull a Becky. I see Mama Louise, but I say in my head Mama Lou. Um, I make up my own
Sometimes you
name.
just got to rename characters. It
I rename
happens
characters. And she actually has those moments with him and with Willow that I love so much.
Yeah. I'd agree. Okay. Because I don't want to spoil any more. Oh, go ahead.
No. I wanted to see if you felt like this, because I don't feel like it was written. This is written by one author. This is not a duo. This is not a collaboration. This was written by one author. But I felt like the first half of the book, this is written in dual point of view. So you go back and forth throughout the book, pretty like clean, almost Willow, Bobby. But I feel like the first half of the book was much more feminine, and the last half of the book was much more masculine. Yes, we got like the characters. I felt like we got more of Willow in the beginning, and then the last half of the book, it became more Bobby's story.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. I also, as I struggled a little bit with the middle of the book and that kind of different voice feel, I actually went and looked at the publication date, because I'm going to give grace to any author that wrote a book in 2020. I just am, because it was hard. It was difficult. It was different. We were all in a very different place. This came out in end of August 2020. Yeah. So I wonder, is this something that maybe she started early on in quarantine and then had to finish it? And once, August hit, we were back out, slowly re-entering society and moving forward. Or was this, I wonder if some of that played into this story a little bit, because they also were not as descriptive in the second half of the book. She set a lot of scene and a lot of world building that we didn't really need, because we had been in this world with, 5 other books. So
if it's also can be read as a standalone, you still needed some of that. So we have read all the books in the series, but I felt like if this happened to be the first book you picked up, you still needed some of that.
Some of it, but I feel like it went over the top at times, which was fine.
It's a longer book. It's over 400 pages.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, some of that played into the difference in the voice.
Yeah.
Because I think that we do see some author voices that changed a little bit. Because our voices have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Our projects are different than when we first started. So who knows? I don't know, but I do agree with you. There did seem to be a different tone change in the story.
I wonder if that was intentional.
I don't know. We will have to ask her.
We will.
Okay, Carolina, did you like this book?
I did enjoy this book. It's very different than the other books in the series, but I kind of liked that element. So I enjoyed it.
I liked it. It is not my favorite. I would say that of the Tannens, I'm in love with Brutal first, then Brody, then Bobby. But overall, Mark is my favorite of all of the books.
No,
of all of this family.
We'll fight over Mark first.
Yeah. Who would typically like this book?
That's a great question.
I would say if you do not want an angsty romance, if you like small town romances, if you like the Claire Kingsley books, but you want something with a little less angst and a little less drama, not an overarching storyline, these books are fantastic for that. There is kind of a storyline that's weaved through in and out, but it is not intense, and you do not miss anything by picking up books in random orders.
And I wouldn't classify these as rom-coms, but there are moments of like a rom-com in it. Like there are some like
this is true contemporary romance.
Yeah.
Like if you like, we'll see, but even I was gonna say like Avery or Mariah, but they're both really rom-com heavy.
Yeah,
I really do think that Lauren Landish falls in with Mickey Miller and like I said, Claire Kingsley. There's some angst, but it's not overly angsty. These are mature characters that are very well developed characters, and these are very much character-driven stories. Okay, would you recommend this book?
I would too.
Yes. I actually would recommend this
the whole series. I recommend
really
the
read the whole series
and the Tannens.
Yeah,
read them from the start and go through. I was actually a little sad to end the book, and especially after reading, because there's a series extended epilogue. Like at the end of the book, you sign up for the newsletter and you get it. And like there's one like that at the end of the Bennett books. And it's from Mama Louise's perspective, and this one is the same. I don't know if you read it.
I did not.
The one after the Bennett book is still one of my all-time favorite extended epilogues, hands down. This one was good, but it was kind of that quintessential, like, I got that like melancholy, like this is the end. This is the end of my time with them. I'm sad because I will never read them for the first time again.
Nope, I agree. I am sad to leave them. But who knows? Maybe she'll come back to town and we'll have something at the resort. Who knows?
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great?
I know. Another spinoff.
Right? I like good spinoff. Do you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance? Send us an email to thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com and we will add it to our TBR. Carolina, thank you so much for joining me for this quick shot of romance.
Thanks for having me, Becky. I love talking books.
I do too. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at buzzingaboutromance or on Twitter at buzzingromance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.